Okay, folks, it's 6 or 5 p.m.
Yeah.
We'll call the meeting to order. If you have your cell phone on, please turn it off. The public hearing before the Sawyer County Zone Board of Appeals is hereby called to order at 5 p.m. in the Sawyer County Courthouse on February 21st, 2023 in Hayward, Wisconsin. Roll call, please, because some members are attending virtually. If you're here, please say aye. Roll call, Al Gerber, Laura Rusk.
Aye.
Steve Kelsey.
Aye.
Dee Douglas.
Here.
Jim Tiffany.
Aye.
Okay, we have a quorum attending on behalf of the zoning board, Jay Kozlowski and Kathy Marks. Those persons desire to give pertinent testimony will be afforded the opportunity to do so. As recognized by the chairman, that person will clearly state their full name before giving testimony. Each hearing will follow this order: reading of the application, submission of the file to the board, applicant statements and presentation of evidence, testimony of those in support of the application, statements from persons in objection to the application, rebuttal as permitted by the board, and decision by the board. Orderly procedure requires that each side shall appear without interruption by the other. Shall proceed without interruption by the other. All testimony will be addressed to the board, and there will be no questions or arguments between individuals. Any persons aggrieved by a decision of the board may appeal the decision to the circuit court within 30 days of the date following the board's decision letter. The day following the signing of the board's decision letter is the first day of the 30-day appeal filing period. This public hearing has been published as a Class 2 notice in accordance with Chapter 985 Wisconsin statutes in the Sawyer County Record and Sawyer County Gazette. The public hearing will follow this order: variance application, new business, and adjournment. Do we need to approve the minutes of our October 18th, 2022 meeting, which was our last meeting?
Yes.
Yes, we should.
Okay, has everyone received a copy of those minutes?
Yes. Yes.
Any changes, corrections, or amendments to those?
None.
We need a motion.
Hearing none, I'll request a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Motion by Laura, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dee. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion as presented signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion to approve the minutes of the October 18th meeting passes by a vote of 5-0.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have, we don't have any variance applications this evening. We do have one new business item. This is in reference to variance case number 21-005. This is the circuit court's overturning of the decision of the Board of Appeals. BoA, the Board of Appeals, does have the option to accept the circuit court's decision, thus denying the variance, or to appeal the circuit court decision. And this is the discussion action for that item. You guys were sent the conclusion of law information from circuit court. Again, this is in reference to the Miller's variance case. If the BoA accepts the circuit court's decision, it would thus render the variance denied, which would then trigger me to set an order for correction deadline for the Millers to remove those kind of three aspects of that variance request that we talked about by a date yet not determined, but in conversations with the Millers, they were asking for the end of August for final removal of the 1 foot by 21 foot retaining wall, including the 1 foot wing wall abutment, and to relocate the retaining wall that was not placed in the correct location, as well as the missing gap of the patio, which there has been photographic evidence provided to the zoning department that there was an existing walkway in that location. I'm yet have rendered decision on whether or not we will be allowing an after the fact permit for that kind of 16 foot to 36 inch missing gap that was there, but there potentially is photographic evidence that would allow for an after the fact replacement of an existing walkway, which would not need a variance. That's kind of my 2 cents on that matter?
When did we initially hear this case? It seems like we heard it twice.
We did.
21. It's the first.
The first variance case came before you in July of 2021. It was then appealed. It was appealed by COLA. Circuit Court then kicked it back to BoA to render a decision using the correct determination of law. I'd have to look for the actual transcripts of that initial Circuit Court review. This BoA made another decision using additional discussion and what we had thought was correct course of law. That was then further appealed to Circuit Court by the Coudray Lakes Association, which at that point Circuit Court overturned that decision again.
So more than a year has passed since the initial.
Yeah, it was initially filed in July of 2021, was appealed and kicked back to BoA in October of 2021. I'd have to look at probably this one. It then went back to BoA in January, January of 2022. Was reappealed in June, and the decision was rendered in June of 2022. And then we have that additional overturn of Circuit Court, which was in December of 2022, and now we're hearing it again in February of 2023. So yes, quite a bit of history with this one.
So the Millers would have some reappeal options.
They did, and they chose not to appeal Circuit Court's decision.
Okay.
And again, not speaking for the Millers, I have spoken to them this morning as well as their attorney this morning. They chose not to further fight this and appeal the Circuit Court's decision, and are willing to make said corrections.
Okay. So our mission here today is just to confirm that we acknowledge the judge's decision.
Correct.
It doesn't necessarily mean that we agree with it.
Correct.
But we do confirm that he made that determination, and the course of action now has to be.
Yeah, you're just
pursued.
accepting the Circuit Court's decision and not wanting to further send this down the appeal process route. Again, in conversations with COLA's legal representation, Alf Severson.
Yeah.
And our legal counsel for the Board of Appeals, TJ Duffy, they thought it was in the best case that the Board of Adjustments would render their decision to accept the Circuit Courts. But again, you do have the option and discussion to further fight this. It would come at the county's expense and legal counsel's expense, where again, Millers did not want to fight this any further.
No, the next level of court, if it got to that point, the rule of law may be interpreted exactly the same as it is.
Right. The next step here, like I said, if BoA at this point accepts the Circuit Court's decision, basically tasks me as the zoning administrator to set an order for correction deadline for those corrections. If those corrections are not done by that specified deadline, which at this point is going to be, I'm going to just say August 31st of this year, that'll then set citations and motions for them, in which it'll come with a recommendation to the judge for a daily forfeiture for every day it's not removed. Now, if they want to fight that through that process, that is an option they have. In conversations with them, they sounded like they were going to remove those violations.
Yeah.
But I guess we won't know that fully until August 31st, when that deadline is officially set. Right.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments or questions or discussion before I ask for a motion whether or not to accept the judge's decision?
And the only other thing I want to say and go on record, as far as allowing to that August 31st deadline is, if you remember the specifics of the case, there is that larger block of concrete in which they need to remove, and there are some challenges with that. So I want to give them ample time to get necessary contractors in place to take on that project, because it is going to be a very intricate project that they're going to need to take place with now. So
Is just for thought, would a longer period of time allowing them to work into the winter with ice?
I mean, they've had that,
Beneficial
they've
or
had
no?
that option this winter and they didn't pursue it. So I'm
So
not
it's
so
just
inclined to
either.
allow this to go further than into the 2024 season at this point.
But you're right, Steve. I know a lot of guys that do riprap
Mhm.
in the winter, they didn't get across there this year.
Right, just from the history we have on this, I mean, they had that option before even applying for the variance. They had the option before it got appealed the first time. They had the option this winter to do that. So at this point, I'm not inclined to do that. Now, if that's part of the citation process and the judge gives a further correction deadline before daily forfeitures kick in, that's through a separate court system.
Well, hearing no further discussion, would someone make a motion to either approve or accept or not accept the circuit court's judge's decision?
I would like to make a motion to affirm the circuit court's decision on this variance.
Steve, are you?
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion's been, and good choice of words, Laura, affirm. Motion's been made and seconded to affirm the decision of the circuit court judge regarding this case. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion to affirm the decision of the circuit court judge passes by a vote of 5-0. Okay, I don't know if this falls under new business or not. How's this 5 o'clock start time working for everybody? Is that something we want to continue with? Yes,
My
sir.
vote is yes.
This is our first kick at the cat. So it's not too early for
What?
anyone.
Good for me, Al.
Okay, all right.
Gives me time to get home and find my cat.
Hopefully not kick it.
Yeah.
Ooh, gotta be careful with statement like that, don't you? So maybe strike that from the record if we can.
I
All
think
right.
that's a good idea, Al.
All right. Well, thanks for attending. Laura, nice job. You got it right on the first try. And if you run into Mark, tell him the same thing. All right, motion to adjourn. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second by Steve. All in favor, second by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion to adjourn is passed. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.